help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts on the video. Your feedback helps make the contents better. Now let's get to the story.
Pack your things and leave our apartment immediately. Those words hit me like a sledgehammer through the phone. I stood there in my office cubicle, gripping my cell so tight my knuckles turned white, trying to process what my wife of 7 years had just told me. Jessica's voice was different, cold, sharp, nothing like the woman who'd kissed me goodbye that morning. "Jessica, what are you talking about? What's going on?" "I just inherited my Uncle Richard's fortune," she said, and I could practically hear the smile in her voice. $800 million, Mark. $800 million! I don't need you anymore. I've already prepared the separation papers. They'll be waiting for you when you get home. The line went dead. My name is Mark Henderson. I'm 34 years old, and until that phone call, I thought I had a pretty good life. Nothing fancy, but solid. I work as a senior financial analyst at a mid-sized investment firm in Chicago. It's not glamorous work, but I'm good at it, really good. I've built portfolios that have consistently outperformed the market, helped clients retire comfortably, and earned a reputation for seeing opportunities others miss. I'm the guy people trust with their money because I treat it like it's my own. Jessica and I met in college. She was studying art history, and I was knee-deep in economics textbooks. We were different, sure, but it worked, or at least I thought it did. She came from money. Her family had that old wealth vibe, the kind where you summer in the Hamptons and winter in Aspen. My family, we were solid middle class. My dad was a high school teacher, my mom a nurse. They taught me the value of hard work and treating people right. When Jessica and I got married, her family made it clear I wasn't quite their standard, but Jessica said she loved me for who I was, not what I had. We lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Lincoln Park, not because we had to, Jessica had a trust fund, but because I insisted on paying my share. I had my pride, and I wasn't going to be some kept man. If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 1,000 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these stories matter. The drive home from the office felt like it took forever. Chicago traffic was its usual nightmare, but my mind was racing faster than any car on the Kennedy Expressway. Uncle Richard. I'd met the man exactly 3 times in 7 years. He was Jessica's mother's brother, some reclusive tech investor who'd made his fortune in the early days of Silicon Valley. He lived in a mansion in Palo Alto and barely spoke to the family. Why would he leave everything to Jessica? When I walked into our apartment, Jessica was sitting at the dining table looking like she just won the lottery, which I guess she had. She was dressed differently too, wearing this expensive-looking black dress I'd never seen before, her hair done up like she was heading to some charity gala. "The papers are right here, Mark." She slid a manila folder across the table. No hello, no how was your day, nothing, just straight business. I sat down and opened the folder. Standard separation agreement, but the terms made my blood run cold. She wanted everything. The apartment, which was in her name anyway, the car, also hers, even the furniture we'd picked out together. I'd basically be leaving with my clothes and personal items. "You've got to be kidding me," I said. "I'm dead serious, Mark. Look, let's not make this harder than it needs to be. You're a nice guy, but let's be honest, you were always just adequate. Adequate job, adequate salary, adequate everything. I settled when I married you, and now I don't have to settle anymore." Each word was like a knife. Adequate, settled, 7 years of marriage, and that's what it had been to her? What about for better or worse? What about the vows we made? Jessica laughed, actually laughed. "Mark, grow up. This is $800 million. Do you know what I can do with that? The life I can have? I can travel the world, buy whatever I want, be with whoever I want. And let's face it, you were never going to give me that life." Something in me just snapped into place. Not anger exactly, more like clarity. I looked at this woman I'd loved, who I supported through her failed art gallery venture, who I comforted when her paintings wouldn't sell, who I believed in when no one else did, and I realized I didn't know her at all. "You know what, Jessica? You're right." Her eyes widened slightly. She'd expected a fight. I pulled out a pen and signed every page without reading the rest. "Enjoy your new fortune." I stood up, grabbed my jacket, and headed toward the bedroom to pack. "That's it?" she called after me. "No begging? No trying to convince me?" I turned back and smiled, really smiled, because in that moment I realized something Jessica didn't know, something nobody knew except me and my clients. I'd been very, very good at my job. The Extend Stay America in Schaumburg wasn't exactly the Ritz, but it was clean and cheap, and it gave me space to think. I'd grabbed my clothes, my laptop, some personal photos, and walked out of that apartment without looking back. Jessica had seemed almost disappointed that I'd gone so quietly. That first night, lying on the stiff hotel bed, I did something I rarely allowed myself to do. I opened my phone and looked at my personal investment portfolio. See, here's the thing about being a financial analyst who's really good at his job. You learn to see patterns. You learn to read markets like other people read books. And over the past 7 years, while Jessica was spending her trust fund money on art supplies and weekend brunches with her friends, I was quietly building something. Every bonus, every commission, every spare dollar I had, I'd invested it. But not just anywhere. I'd built a portfolio of tech stocks, index funds, and strategic investments that had grown steadily year after year. I lived below my means, drove a 10-year-old Honda, brought lunch to work, and invested the difference. The number on my screen? $4.2 million. I wasn't wealthy like Jessica's uncle, but I was comfortable. More than comfortable. And Jessica had no idea. She'd never asked about my finances, never shown interest in what I did with my money. When she'd inherited her trust fund at 25, she'd made it clear she didn't need my income, so I'd just kept my financial life private. The separation papers she'd made me sign, they only covered assets she knew about. The apartment, the car, the furniture. She'd been so eager to kick me out, so certain of my adequate status, that she hadn't done her due diligence. Ironic, really, considering due diligence was literally my job. I spent the next week apartment hunting, found a nice one-bedroom in Wicker Park with exposed brick and huge windows. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. I paid 6 months' rent up front in cash, which made the landlord very happy. Then I did something that might seem weird. I didn't tell anyone about the separation. Not my parents, not my coworkers, nobody. I just went about my life. Went to work, came home to my new apartment, hit the gym, read books, lived quietly. Jessica, meanwhile, was living very loudly. I know this because she couldn't help but post everything on social media. Pictures of her new penthouse. She'd moved out of our modest apartment within a week. Photos of shopping bags from Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Hermes. Shots of her at exclusive restaurants, always with a new group of people I'd never seen before. "Living my best life," one caption read, with a picture of her on a yacht in the Caribbean. That was 2 weeks after our separation. I double-tapped it, liked the photo, because why not? My colleague Sarah noticed me looking at my phone and grinning one day. "What's so funny?" she asked. "Oh, nothing. Just karma can be really entertaining sometimes." Cryptic much. I shrugged. "Give it time, you'll see." About a month after the separation, I got a call from my attorney, David Rosenberg. I'd hired him quietly, just to make sure everything was legally sound on my end. "Mark, I have to ask," David said, "did you actually read the separation agreement before you signed it?" "Nope." "Why the hell not?" "Because it didn't matter. Everything she listed was hers anyway. I didn't need to fight for an apartment I didn't want or a car I wasn't attached to." "But you could have—" "David, trust me on this. Everything is going exactly as it should." He was quiet for a moment. "You're either crazy or brilliant." "Why not both?" The truth was, I was waiting. See, there's something most people don't understand about sudden wealth. It's a test of character, of intelligence, of self-control, and most people fail it spectacularly. Lottery winners go broke, inheritance recipients blow through fortunes. It happens all the time, and I'd seen it firsthand in my work. People who suddenly have access to massive amounts of money make stupid, emotional decisions. They trust the wrong people, they invest in garbage, they spend like the money will never run out. And Jessica? She'd never been good with money. That's why her trust fund was relatively modest. Her parents set it up with strict distributions specifically because they knew she'd blow through it otherwise. But now she had $800 million with no restrictions, no oversight, and no financial literacy whatsoever. I gave it 6 months before the cracks started showing. It took 4. The first sign came from an unexpected source, Jessica's mother, Patricia. She called me on a Tuesday evening. I almost didn't answer. We hadn't spoken since the separation, but curiosity won out. "Mark, it's Patricia." "Mrs. Whitmore, how are you?" She paused. "I'm concerned about Jessica." I sat down on my couch, muting the basketball game I'd been watching. "What's going on?" "She's burning through the inheritance. Mark, she's spending like, I don't even know how to describe it. She bought a house in Malibu for $47 million. She's invested in some crypto scheme that sounds absolutely ridiculous. She's given money to people I've never heard of, people who are clearly just using her. And when I try to talk to her about it, she tells me I'm just jealous." I stayed quiet, letting her continue. "I know how the separation went. I know what she said to you. Mark, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You were good for her, and she threw it away." Patricia's voice cracked. "I was hoping, could you maybe talk to her? She always respected your financial advice, even if she didn't show it." Now it was my turn to pause. This was the moment. I could be the bigger person, reach out, try to help the woman who called me adequate and kicked me out of my home. Or I could let the lesson play out. If you've stayed with me this far, I need to ask you something. Do you think revenge is ever justified, or should we always take the high road? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and your perspectives actually help me process all of this. "Mrs. Whitmore," I said gently, "Jessica made it clear that she didn't need me or my advice. She has $800 million. I'm sure she'll figure it out." "But Mark," "I'm sorry, I really am, but this isn't my place anymore." Jessica made her choice. After I hung up, I did feel a small pang of guilt. But then I remembered the look on Jessica's face when she'd called me adequate, when she'd laughed at the idea of our vows meaning anything. The pang faded. 2 months later, the second sign appeared, and this time it was public. A business news website ran an article. Tech Harris Jessica Whitmore lost $50 million in failed crypto venture. I read the article over my morning coffee. Jessica had invested heavily in some new crypto coin that turned out to be a pump-and-dump scheme. The creators had vanished with the money, and Jessica was one of several high-profile victims. $50 million. Gone. The article included a quote from Jessica. "I trusted the wrong people, but I'm learning, and I still have plenty of resources to recover." Plenty of resources. She'd started with $800 million. If she'd lost $50 million to crypto alone, and I knew from her social media she'd spent probably another $100 million on properties, cars, and general lifestyle, the math wasn't looking great. I did something then that I'm not entirely proud of. I reached out to an old friend who worked in private wealth management, asked him, hypothetically, if he'd heard anything about Jessica Whitmore. "Oh man," he said, "yeah, she's a hot mess. She came to our firm looking for advice, but she'd already made so many bad moves we couldn't help her. Told her she needed serious financial counseling, maybe even a conservatorship. She stormed out, called us condescending." What kind of bad moves? Besides the crypto thing? She's invested in 3 different businesses run by people who are obviously conning her. She bought a nightclub in Miami that's hemorrhaging money. She's supporting like 15 different people, friends, hangers-on, whatever, paying their rent, their cars, their everything. And she's spending probably $2 million a month on personal expenses. I did the math quickly in my head. At that rate, even $800 million wouldn't last forever. Maybe 15, 20 years if she kept it up. Less if the bad investments continued. Thanks for the info, I told my friend. Why the interest? Didn't you two separate? Yeah, just curious. That night, I made a decision. I was doing well. My portfolio had grown to $4.8 million, my job had given me a promotion, and I was genuinely happy with my life. I'd started dating someone new, a kindergarten teacher named Rachel, who thought my 10-year-old Honda was practical and environmentally conscious instead of embarrassing. Life was good. But I wanted one thing: closure. Not for me, I was already over Jessica, but I wanted her to understand exactly what she'd thrown away. I wanted her to know what adequate really meant. I waited for the right moment. It came 3 months later when I saw a social media post from one of Jessica's friends. They were at some charity gala, and Jessica looked different. Thinner, tighter around the eyes. The smile didn't quite reach her face anymore. The caption read, "Amazing night supporting literacy. #blessed, #charity gala." I left a comment. "Looking good, Jess. Hope you're well." She messaged me within an hour. "Mark, is this really you?" "Yeah, it's me. How are you?" I'm okay. Surprised to hear from you." "I saw the photo. Wanted to say hi. No hard feelings about everything." There was a long pause. Then, "Can we meet? For coffee? I'd like to talk." Bingo. We met at a Starbucks in Lincoln Park, ironically close to our old apartment. Jessica walked in wearing jeans and a sweater, no designer clothes this time. She looked tired. "Thanks for meeting me," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. "Of course. What's going on?" She stared at her coffee cup. "I think I made a mistake. Actually, I know I made a mistake. A lot of mistakes." I stayed quiet, waiting. "The inheritance? It's not what I thought it would be. The money, it attracted all these people, but they weren't real friends. They just wanted things from me. And I trusted the wrong people with investments, and now—" She looked up at me, eyes wet. "Mark, I'm not broke, but I'm not okay either. I've lost so much money. And I miss having someone who actually cared about me, not my bank account. Jessica, I was wrong about you, about us. You were never adequate. You were stable and kind and genuine, and I was too stupid to see it." She reached across the table, trying to take my hand. "Is there any chance we could try again? I know I don't deserve it, but—" I gently pulled my hand back. "Jessica, I'm seeing someone." Her face fell. "Oh. But even if I wasn't, the answer would be no." "Why?" This was it, the moment I'd been waiting for. "Because you didn't love me, Jessica. You loved the idea of me, the stable guy who'd always be there while you figured out your life. And the moment you thought you didn't need stability anymore, you threw me away without a second thought. That's not love. That's convenience." I know I hurt you, but people change." "You're right. People do change. Want to know how I've changed?" I pulled out my phone and showed her my investment portfolio. Her eyes went wide when she saw the number. $5.1 million. "That's what I built over the past 7 years. While you were spending your trust fund, I was investing. While you were calling me adequate, I was quietly becoming financially independent. And you know what's funny? If you'd stuck around, if you'd actually been a partner instead of someone who settled for me, we could have built something amazing together." Jessica stared at the screen, her mouth slightly open. "But you didn't," I continued. "You saw a bigger number and bailed. And that's fine. You had every right to make that choice. But you don't get to come back now that your fortune isn't as fun as you thought it would be." "Mark, please." "I hope you figure things out, Jessica. I really do. But not with me. Not ever again." I stood up, left a 20 on the table for both our coffees, and walked out. Behind me, I heard her start to cry. I didn't look back. 6 months later, I married Rachel in a small ceremony at a botanical garden. My parents were there, a few close friends, and my coworker Sarah, who'd become a good friend through everything. Jessica wasn't invited, obviously, but I heard through the grapevine that she'd seen the photos on social media. Apparently, she'd called her mother crying. Patricia sent me a card. "Congratulations, Mark. You deserve all the happiness in the world. Thank you for being kind when we didn't deserve it." Jessica's financial situation continued to deteriorate. Last I heard, she'd burned through about $400 million of the inheritance, half of it gone in less than 2 years. She'd sold the Malibu house at a loss, the nightclub had closed, and most of her fair-weather friends had moved on to other wealthy targets. She'd finally hired a legitimate financial advisor who'd put her on a strict budget and investment plan. With what she had left, if she was careful, she could still live very comfortably for the rest of her life. Not the billionaire lifestyle she'd imagined, but comfortable. As for me, Rachel and I bought a house in Oak Park. Nothing extravagant, just a nice 3-bedroom with a yard where we're planning to raise kids someday. My portfolio hit $6 million, and I made partner at my firm. Life is genuinely good, better than I ever imagined during those dark days at the extended stay America. I ran into Jessica one more time, about a year after the wedding. I was at Whole Foods with Rachel, and there she was in the produce section. "Mark," she said quietly. "Jessica, how are you?" "I'm managing. Therapy helps." She looked at Rachel. "You must be Rachel. Congratulations on the wedding." "Thank you," Rachel said warmly. No hint of jealousy or awkwardness. That's one of the things I love about her. She's secure in who she is. Jessica turned back to me. "I owe you an apology. A real one, not the mess I gave you at Starbucks. What I did to you was cruel and wrong. You deserved better, and I'm sorry I couldn't see what I had until it was gone." I nodded. "I appreciate that. And for what it's worth, I hope you find happiness too." "I'm working on it." She smiled sadly. "Turns out money doesn't buy it." No, I agreed. It doesn't. We said our goodbyes and went our separate ways. As Rachel and I walked to the car, she squeezed my hand. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, and I meant it. I really am. Because here's the thing about revenge. The best kind isn't about making someone else suffer. It's about building a life so good, so genuine, so fulfilling that their rejection becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. Jessica thought she was trading up when she inherited that fortune. She thought she was leaving behind an adequate life for an extraordinary one. But she got it backwards. The extraordinary life wasn't in the money. It was in the love, the partnership, the quiet moments of building something real with someone who values you. It was in the stability she'd mocked, the adequacy she'd scorned. She had $800 million and lost half of it chasing happiness in all the wrong places. I had $4 million and built a life that money couldn't buy. In the end, I didn't need to get revenge on Jessica. She got revenge on herself. And me? I got something better. I got free. If you made it to the end of this story, thank you for listening. It means more than you know. Before you go, I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop your country or city in the comments below. I'm always amazed by how these stories connect with people across the world, and it reminds me that we all go through similar struggles no matter where we are. A special shout out to my viewers from the United States, the Philippines, and Canada. You three make up the heart of this community, and I see you in the comments every single time. Your support, your stories, and your encouragement keep me going. Whether you're listening from New York, Manila, Toronto, or anywhere else, you're part of something bigger here. If this story resonated with you, or if you know someone who needs to hear it, please share it. You never know who might need the reminder that their worth isn't measured by what someone else thinks of them. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and remember, the best revenge is a life well lived.